Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct Magic the Gathering's pre-constructed products. Been a really long time since I've done a video like this, but we haven't had a pre-constructed product in a really long while that I wanted to talk about. But we do have one now. We've got the start tick coming up for the new Universes Beyond Final Fantasy set, and I thought, why not get back into it and talk about that? I had a really good time last year talking about the Bloom Barrow and Assassin's Creed ones, and I thought, yeah, we'll do one for the Final Fantasy kit as well. It's not a video discussing the merits or demerits, whatever, of Universe Beyond. We're just going to look at the kit, discuss whether we think it's a good product for a new player to get or an existing player to get even, and yeah, just talk about the cards and just generally be kind of excited about lovely new cards. That's what we like doing here. So yes, we talk about the starter kit. So it is released on June 13th at time of recording. That's about 2 weeks. It comes with 2 60-card decks and deck boxes, 4 double-sided tokens, a how to play booklet and quick reference cards, and some arena redemption codes so you can use the cards in there online. Also, an important thing to note as well is that a lot of the cards in here are actually unique to the set. You can't get them in the Universe Beyond set booster packs. So the 2 face mythics, Sephiroth Planet's Heir and Cloud Planet's Champion, and some of the rares in here as well are all unique cards, so you can only get them in this starter kit, so that might affect whether you want to get it or not. Regarding price, over here in the UK, these usually go for about £16 to £17. I think that works out to maybe about $25 US. Yeah, so pretty cheap, pretty affordable. Comes with 2 decks. Yeah, really nice, easy purchase for people who are getting into Magic. They might know about Final Fantasy but never play Magic. Split the cost, take a deck each, play some games, buy some packs, modify them, all that good stuff. It's just a really good way of getting new people into the hobby. So a really funny thing about this starter kit is actually the contents of it got leaked quite a while ago, nearly sort of 6 weeks ago, I think, because I think it was someone in Brazil got a got a hold of the kit. So they posted the full contents on Reddit with this lovely potato camera, and they were all in Spanish or Portuguese, whichever the language was. And yeah, so I was really considering actually doing this video earlier then, when because we knew what the contents were. And translations were made, they were available, but I thought, no, I'll hold out until like the set's been fully released, fully previewed, all the nice Scryfall quality images are available. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that we knew quite far in advance what was going to be in the deck. And I also made some predictions for the decks as well on my Discord. So it'd be interesting to see how many of these were actually proven right. Spoiler, not many of them, but we'll do a little check at the end of the video to see how many I actually got right. So without further ado, let's just jump in and we'll look at the first deck, which is Cloud's deck, which is red white. So red white in Final Fantasy set has a has like an equipment theme, which is like kind of a common thing we see in red white. And it's the actually before I get into the deck, I was maybe like a little bit annoyed that it's red white versus blue black again, because we have that in the Assassin's Creed starter kit. So I don't know if it's just the easiest color to choose for Universes Beyond things, because red white is archetypally like very the heroic color, and blue black is usually like the villain color. It's it's an easy way of breaking up the colors that way. But yeah, and also this being equipment again, when we had that in the Assassin's Creed one, I like it. The deck is still fine, but it's just I don't know. I wouldn't have minded maybe if it had been green red or green white, whatever. We're getting into it anyway, and we'll look at Cloud's deck. So the foil face card is Cloud Planet's Champion, 3 red white for a 4/4. During your turn, as long as he's equipped, he has double strike and indestructible, which is pretty good. There is like I said, there is a big equipment theme in here. There's a fair amount of equipment in here as well, so we can get that bonus. And equip abilities you activate that target Cloud cost 2 less to activate. So yes, obviously Cloud is all about equipment. If you don't get any equipment down, he is then just a 4/4 for 5 mana, which is not obviously amazing, especially at mythic rarity. You'd kind of hope he would have some other ability, but then it's very once he does have the effect, it's obviously very good, isn't it? So I don't know. I wish they'd been a little bit in between rather than it being so polarizing. But I think, yeah, like for a foil face rare and stuff, I think it's fine. And then we got Beatrix, Loyal General, 4 and double white for a 4/4. So I'm actually going to quickly talk about this. So I made the assumption, I think, when they announced the starter kit with Cloud and Sephiroth as the face foils, that it was going to be just Final Fantasy VII themed, because Final Fantasy VII it's not the most popular or the most successful, because I think 14 has actually like eclipsed it quite a bit. in terms of popularity and how much like how much money it makes Squaresoft essentially. But obviously 7 is still very well regarded. Obviously it's had recent high quality remakes, so yeah. So I was sort of making that assumption there. But the set does obviously have cards from all over the Final Fantasy franchise, and especially in the start kit as well. I thought it was going to be only Final Fantasy 7, but no, we've got Beatrix, for example, from 9. You got characters from all over. So I was a little surprised at that. But yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Beatrix Lord General. 4 and a white for a 4/4 with Vigilance, which is like okay. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of equipment you control to target creature you control. So yeah, this is pretty good. Giving a bunch of like free equipments is pretty good. It is basically you would load up one creature, I think, the way it works out. But yeah, I think it's pretty fun to say you got like a fair amount of equipment here. So being to front load one creature with a whole bunch of equipment, make them super good. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And then we got Rosa, Resolute White Mage, 3 and a white for a 2/3. So she's from Final Fantasy 4. She got Reach. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy 4. I'll use this this chance to say Final Fantasy is not my preferred JRPG franchise. Like I know 7, 8 a bit. I've played a bit of 9. I played 15, the one with Noctis and the boy band. I recently played 6 for the first time, and I thought it was basically okay. And like the first one won when it was on, like a PS1 port. So I'm not super well versed in Final Fantasy, so I will probably get some of these like character names or references wrong. Whatever. So there we go. But yeah, Rosa is 2/3 with Reach. Being able to combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control and it gains lifelink until 10. This is really good. I think just a constant trickle of +1/+1 counters and giving lifelink is this really nice. Lifelink is always a really, really strong effect anyway. You attack with a big creature, get that swing of life loss, and you've essentially you've doubled the gap between you and your opponent, really, haven't you? So yeah, I think Rosa's really, really good. Then we've got Lightning, Security Sergeant, 2 and a red for a 2/3 with Menace. Whenever she deals combat damage to play, you can exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card for as long as you control Lightning. So standard kind of like red impulse draw effect here. I really like this actually on Lightning. Nice and cheap and with an evasive ability as well. And essentially gives you an extra hand of cards essentially as long as you control it. Just keep stacking up extra cards. So yeah, I think that's pretty fun effect. We've got Barrett, 3 and red for a 4/4 with Reach. Quite a lot of Reach actually in this deck, actually, from what I remember. And when he attacks, he deals damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control to the defending player. Again, maybe a bit of a niche ability, maybe, because I mean, realistically, he might chip in for an extra like 1 or 2 damage. I think just having him as like a 4/4 with Reach is pretty solid for 4. But yeah, if you chip in extra 1 or 2 damage, I think I think that's perfectly fine. And then you got Freya Crescent, 1 red for a 1/1. During your turn, she has flying, and you can tap her to give you 1 red mana. You can spend that mana only to cast an equipment spell or activate an equip ability. I do like this that red is starting to get more mana abilities, but only for like limited things. I think that's just pretty fun. But yeah, so pretty good little 1-drop, I think. And then we've got 1 Grahatia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I mean, I'm not particularly fussed. So 4 and a white for a 3/5. I'm not fussed about Grahatia because he was one of the last cards to actually get revealed in terms of like in the normal frame in English translation and stuff. So this video was basically on hold until this guy got revealed. So I'm actually I'm negatively disposed towards Grahatia. But yeah, so 3/5 with 5 for Reach, which is again like fine. But when 1 or more other creatures or artifacts you control die, you draw a card. Burning triggers once per turn. That's fine. You're playing kind of red-white aggro. You might be losing creatures. The other deck obviously has a lot of creature removal in it, so just getting a card draw when something dies is obviously pretty okay. And then a single Adalbert Steiner, so 1 white for a 2/1 with lifelink, which is again like fine. And he gets +1/+1 for every equipment you control. I like that it doesn't have to be equipment on him. It can be just equipment you have full stop, which I think is nice. It doesn't mean you have to like front load him up to make him good. But even without the equipment thing, he's Child of Night stats, which is okay. And then 2 Cloudbound Moogle, 3 and double white for a 2/3 flying. When it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which can be itself if you need it, if you just need a slightly bigger flyer. And it's got Plane Cycling for 2, so you can pay 2, discard it, search your library for a planes, reveal it, put into hand, then shuffle. So yeah, so early game, if you need the land, you can cycle it, or late game it's a decently good flyer that can improve another creature. Yeah, every color has one of these. I always think they're pretty good in sets, especially for like limited draft, whatever. Right, so we've got 2 curls as well, so I think that's how it's pronounced. 1 white for a 2/2. Has 1 white and a tap. You can tap target non-enchantment creature. Yeah, just tap a big creature, get a big blocker out of the way, stop an attacker. Yeah, it's pretty okay. 3 item shop keeps 1 in a red for a 2/2 whenever you attack, and an attacking equipped creature gets menace until end of turn. So again, quite like a niche ability, but like there'll be times where it pays off. One of your big equipped creatures then becomes harder to block. I think it's fine, and it's just a 2/2 for 2. Fine. I'm such an old player. I take it. I'm happy when red gets like a 2/2 for 2 with no drawback. And then we've got 4 Dwarven Castle Guard, 1 white for a 2/1. When it dies, you create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. So yeah, which is okay, replaces itself, especially when you've got all this equipment floating around. So you can equip this, it dies, whatever, it makes a hero token. You then equip the hero token. So yeah, it just replaces itself. It's fine. And 4 of them, it's pretty cheap. Be pretty aggressive with it. Yeah, I think it's fine. So getting into non-creature spells, so we've got a single Judgment Bolt, so 3 and a red, and speed does 5 damage to target creature, and X damage to that creature controller, where X is the number of equipment you control. So what? Like we're talking at 4 mana, 5 damage at instant speed, which is sort of okay, and then potentially extra damage onto the creature controller. I think it's okay at 4. I'm not crazy, in love with it, but I think it's fine. It feels weird being rare. It doesn't feel quite rare worthy to me. More like a strong uncommon, but like it is what it is. I think in the meta of like these 2 decks against each other, I think it's probably fine. I like Slash of Light a lot more. So 2 of those, so 1 white, instant speed, does damage equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of equipment you control type creature. So I think a lot of times this will end up doing more damage than Judgment Bolt for less mana. Obviously the thing is it can't hit the creature controller. But yeah, I think this scales up really nicely. It being at 2 mana, I think is really nice, cheap combat burn spell. And actually I've just noticed, it doesn't. This is the thing with white combat tricks. Normally it's limited to hitting an attacking or blocking creature, but it doesn't have that. So white is just these days is just getting straight up just burn spells, which is crazy to me. But I don't hate it. I actually quite like it. It gives white something else to do. And we've got 2 Fate of the Suncrest, 4 and a white. It costs 2 less to cast if it targets a tapped creature, and then you destroy target non-land permanent. So yeah, just a nice little utility spell that blows up anything. The fact that 3 mana this could blow up a creature again in white with no downside is just super good. I love it. I love that white's getting more stuff these days. But yeah, I like it. So definitely got removal options here. We've got a single The Crystal's Chosen, 5 and double white, so super expensive, but you make 4 1/1 colorless hero creature tokens, and then you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So at the very minimum, this makes 4 2/2 creatures, which I think at 7 mana is okay. It makes 8 powers worth of stuff. If you obviously got other stuff, it's it's boosting up your whole board. So this is okay. I think having one of them is probably the right choice. And then we've got a single suplex, 1 in red. You choose one. It either does 3 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, it gets exiled instead, or you exile target artifact. And yes, it's got wonderful meme-worthy art of Sabin suplexing the ghost train. I've now played Final Fantasy VI. I've now done it. I now get this reference. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I think for 2, actually, I think it's pretty okay even at sorcery speed. Yeah, I think it's okay. The other deck does have a few artifacts in it, so that second mode is not entirely useless. Yeah, but mostly I think you'll be using it for the burn option. And then we've got a ultimate weapon. We're getting into the equipment now, which is kind of meant to be the focus of the deck. So single ultimate weapon, 7 mana. Whenever a crit creature attacks, destroy a creature an opponent controls. Equipped creature gets +7/+7 and equip 7. And so obviously this is the thing you want to put on Cloud. But it is obviously super expensive, both to like equip and cast. But yeah, then it's like such a huge effect. Just get a free removal every time he attacks, and then also a huge power toughness boost. And on Cloud, who's also getting indestructible and double strike. Yeah, ultimate weapon is obviously just a big flashy equipment, which I think is a really good choice for like a starter kit like that, because it's just something like quite exciting for like a new player, especially just to see big numbers and be like, oh my god, I love it. We've got a single Dragoon's Lance, 1 white. equipment, and it has this ability that's on quite a few equipment in the set, which I quite like. Job select. So it's kind of like a variant of for Mirrodin or Living Weapon. Basically, when the equipment enters, you create a 1/1 colorless hero token, and then you attach the equipment straight onto it. So the equipped creature gets +1/+1 and is a knight in addition to its other types. And during your turn, it has flying and it has equip 4. So yeah, so for 2 mana, this is basically like a 2/1 that's flying on your turn, but obviously then you can switch the equipment around if you want. So I really like this. I really like it when equipment makes something that it then equips onto. So it's not like you're just playing it to an empty board and it does nothing. Like it's going to have, yeah, you're adding to your board in 2 ways. You're adding the equipment and you're adding an extra body. So yeah, I really like this. And then we've got White Major Staff, which is sort of very similar. So 1 white has Job Select, and the equipped creature gets +1/+1, has whenever it attacks you gain 1 life, and it's a cleric and has equipped 3. So again, for 2 mana, it's essentially a 2/2 that gains you life when it attacks, which is fine. Again, you can switch this around. It's just a just normal +1/+1 boost, but like it's still like okay. So yeah, I like both of those. Then we've got 2 Samurai's Katana. I like this a lot more, because it's a bigger boost, bigger bonuses. So 2 in a red has Job Select. The equipped creature has +2/+2, has Trample and Haste, and is a samurai in addition to other types, equipped for 5. So very expensive equip cost. But also then for 3 mana, it's making a 3/3 with Trample and Haste, which is like pretty solid, I think. And then say even if that dies, then you've got the Katana that goes on to something else. So this is probably my favourite actually of all these Job Select equipments. Yeah, because I think just 3 mana for a 3/3 Trample and Haste is pretty good. And then we've got 2 Warrior Sword, 3 in a red, Job Select, and equipped creature gets +3/+2, and is a warrior and is equipped 5. So yeah, again 4 mana for a 4/3, and then yeah, leaves a pretty decent equipment because like +3/+2 is like not it's not an insignificant boost, you know. But yeah, I do like the Katana. I'd like a little bit more, but then it's at common, so it's just it's uncommon, so it's a little stronger effect. And then we've got 2 White Aura Sight, 2 in double white. So it's a mana rock, adds white, and it has the standard like white banishing light effect. When it enters, you exile something until you lose control of the white aura site. So yeah, I think that's pretty okay. It's just an extra artifact you got in here and an extra like removal effect. And then we got 12 plains and 8 mountains. Right, we're going to talk about the because there's the full art lands. I think are the only lands in the set. There's no normal like bordered ones, which some people on the Discord have expressed displeasure at. I sort of get where they're coming from. I'm not usually in love with kind of like full art lands most of the time, unless the set is based around lands, say like Zendikar. Yeah, so to make them the default feels like a bit of a weird choice, but then I mean it's I suppose it's fine. And the art is really nice as well. So, but yeah, there we go. Full art basics are just in the set, which I think is pretty cool in a way. Your opinion may differ. And then we've got 4 Rabanastra, the Royal City. So it's a non-basic land. It's a town, which I quite like as the introduction of a new non-basic land type, because I always like stuff like that, because it just adds up more design space. Enter tapped gives you red or white. Other than that, it's basically Stone Quarry or one of those other tap lands. It's just a town, but you've got nothing in this deck or the other deck that cares specifically about towns, but it's just there, obviously, for flavour. But yeah. So that was the red-white deck, which I think was pretty good. But now we're going to look at Sephiroth's deck, the blue-black deck. So it's tough to actually pin down, I think, what the blue-black deck strategy is, because I guess it's kind of like death triggers, because Sephiroth has a sort of a death trigger, as we'll see, but also it's this kind of standard blue-black, like surveil, self-mill, using like your graveyard as a resource. So it's definitely a lot more, I guess, a lot more going on than the other one. Probably a bit more complex. But then blue-black, I feel, is always quite hard to do for an introductory product like this, just because those are colors that generally lean more towards like control and understanding like the game a bit better. But yeah, we'll see how we do it here. So the foil flesh area of Sephiroth plants air, so 4 blue and a black for a 4/4 with vigilance. Feels super weird to see vigilance on a blue-black creature, but blue is getting more and more vigilance these days, so I suppose it's fine. When Sephiroth enters, creatures your opponent's control get -2/-2 to turn. Just super good. Just comes in, just -2/-2 to all your opponent's creatures, which can kill off a bunch of stuff, which is good because whenever a creature in opponent control dies, Sephiroth gets a +1/+1 counter. So yeah, he's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger as things keep dying. He's got vigilance, so he's a super good blocker. He's a super good attacker. Yeah, really like Sephiroth. I like Sephiroth a lot more than Cloud. Just I think Sephiroth is just always useful, whereas Cloud, I say, needs that equipment to really hit his potential. Then we've got a single Zande, Dark Mage, 2 a blue and a black for a 3/3 with Menace, so just nice evasibility. He gets +1/+1 for every non-creature, non-land card in your graveyard. And there are a few surveil effects in the deck and self-mill, so yeah, this could work out. Get instants and sorceries and stuff into the graveyard, and then yeah, this is he's going to get boosted up by it, and he's obviously nice and evasive, so it all ties together very nicely. And then Ultimecia, Temporal Threat, so 4 and double blue for 4/4. When she enters, you tap all creatures your opponents control, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. This is pretty good, I think. Like at 6 mana, this play at the right time. This is just game, right? Because you tap everything. The other deck doesn't have any surprise untap effects, so you're essentially completely clearing the board. All your stuff can swing in. You then draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, Ultimecia I can see as just, if you're not winning the game off casting her, then like you're really setting yourself up. I think she's super good. Really, really, probably like one of the strongest cards I think out of these two decks. I would say personally, just because I think it's a very straightforward effect, but it's also very, very powerful. And then we've got Seymour Flux, 4 and a black for a 5/5 at the beginning of your upkeep. You can pay 1 life, and if you do, you draw a card, put +1/+1 counter on him. Yeah, just extra card draw is always okay, isn't he? Sort of like a Phyrex in Arena when you want him to be, and at the same time, he's also just a big old creature. Yeah, I think even if you never drew a card with him, he'd be a 5/5 for 5, which is still okay. But obviously, he gets better if you're just going to keep draw cards and put counters on him. Then yeah, it does feel, I don't know, like a little. No, he's a repeated card draw engine. I was going to say he feels like a bit boring because he doesn't have any keyword abilities. That's me being greedy. I think he's still fine. Right, and then we've got 3 Albed Salvagers, 2 and a black for a 2/3. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target player loses life and you gain life. So you obviously, in the deck, you want your stuff to be dying as well, I suppose, so you can get these kind of benefits. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. At the very least, it's a 3 mana for a 2/3, I suppose. Gives you a slight benefit if you're going to be losing creatures in combat, which you might against the other deck. Obviously, it's red-white. It's much more aggressive. You might have to make some pretty horrible blocks, and if they die, at least you'll get a little benefit from it, a little bit of life loss and life gain. Yeah, I suppose it's fine. 3 Shinra Reinforcements, 2 and black for a 2/3. When it enters, you mill 3 cards and you gain 3 life. Milling 3 can obviously set up some of the other stuff here because you've got like some flashback cards. You got Zandy, who obviously cares about stuff being in your graveyard. You got Shambling Seath as well, who cares about in your graveyard. So yeah, this is okay, I think. And then as for the Shambling Seath, 2 and a black for a 3/3, and enters tapped. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay 1 black, and if you do, it goes from your graveyard back into your hand, so you can recast it. Yeah, it's kind of like a nice twist on the kind of like reassembling skeleton, that kind of thing. I would obviously massively prefer if it came back into play tapped, but that's definitely being a bit greedy. I think it's okay. 3 Ilmeg Pixies, along with Grahat here. This is one of the other cards I was waiting for before I could actually finally finish the video. So 1 a blue for a 2/1 flying when it attacks Surveil 1. So yeah, nice cheap evasive creature right off the bat, and also the Surveil whenever it attacks is really nice as well, because it's a deck, again, where you want to be optimizing your draws, and you can chuck stuff you don't want to draw, or stuff that benefits from being in the graveyard straight away. Having 3 of them, I think, is quite nice as well, nice consistent. Yeah, I really I quite like this in the deck actually. We've got a single Sahagin, 1 a blue, for a 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and it can't be blocked this turn. This feels a little out of place, I'm not going to lie. Because this ties in more to the blue-red draft archetype in the set, which is more about like casting big spells, like casting spending like 4 or more mana on a spell. And there are some expensive spells in the deck, but it's not like really built around it, obviously, because you've got to have a kind of stable curve. So I feel like this could have been almost literally anything else, and it's like it's only a 1/3, and it's not like the effect is okay, I guess, but only having 1 of them, and I say it's not really what the deck's built around. This feels like a bit of a weird choice, I'll say, but it is a it's okay, it's fine, it's not doing any harm. I would have just preferred it if it had been 4 Ilmeg Pixies, but I just noticed there it's uncommon, so that probably wouldn't have happened. And then we've got 4 Undercity Dire Rats, 1 in the black for a 2/2. When it dies, you make a treasure token, which is just very straightforward. This deck, I think, runs a bit more expensive than the others as well, so the treasure will help ramp up into that, and I know that goes against what I just said about the Sahagin not having many expensive spells to cast, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I like Undercity Dire Rat. I think it's pretty good. Right, and then into a non-creature spell. So we've got a Deadly Embrace. This is really nice, I think. So 3 in double black. Sorcery, you destroy a creature an opponent controls, and then you draw a card for every creature that died this turn. So this is a nice one to cast, maybe main phase 2 after combat, after a bunch of creatures have died. Kill off something else, and then reload your hand with maybe like 3 or more cards. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty fun little, pretty fun little rare. I mean, the sorcery speed obviously does hurt it, but it is also quite a strong effect. And then a single Magitech Scythe. So no Masamune, unfortunately, but this will have to do, I suppose, as a if you squint, it might resemble Sephiroth's sword. So 4 mana for equipment. It has whenever it enters, you may attach it to a creature you control. So nice free equipped is good. And then if you do, that creature gets first strike until end turn and must be blocked this turn if able. And it gets +2/+1. So this is really nice actually. I think that ability to come in, get free equip, give first strike, give it a lure effect, and give it +2/+1, which obviously goes well with the first strike. Yeah, this could be really nice if you have Sephiroth and then you whack this on him, and then yeah, he's just then an absolute nightmare to deal with. He's obviously getting stronger then when things are dying. So yeah, I really like Magitech Scythe. Right, and then we've got 3 Sephiroth's Intervention, so 3 in a black, depicting that moment. I'm not going to say, spoilers, because there's still some people who haven't played it, and like this might, they don't know what this moment's depicting. But yeah, destroy target creature and you gain 2 life. Very straightforward removal spell. It's fine. Like there's not much to say about it. I would say maybe it's a little expensive at 4, but at least it's only a single black mana. It's not like double black or anything. Like it's fine. It's fine. There's really not much to say about it. Overkill though, I've got some thoughts on overkill. So 2 in a black. Tiger gets -0, -9,999 until end turn. And I've seen some people like on Reddit and stuff say like, "Oh, this is completely ridiculous. Like that's such a huge effect." But like at this point, this is no different from like murder effects. So this might as well just say destroy target creature, which is technically I got into a little bit of an argument with this on someone. This is not technically better than say Sephiroth's Intervention, because Sephiroth's Intervention can destroy something that has 10,000 toughness or more. That's an absurd exaggeration, but it's true. Overkill, but overkill is generally like 99% of the time much better. Yeah, it's just super funny to see 9,999 on a Magic card, which obviously it's just a good Final Fantasy reference, isn't it? And 3 mana as well. I think this is a really good removal spell. And this obviously nicely deals with Cloud being indestructible as well, from the other deck. And then we've got 2 Evil Reawakened, 4 in a black. You return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. This goes really nicely with like all your self-mill effects and Surveil and stuff. So yeah, being able to bring something back with counters, obviously just pretty good. 5 mana is not terrible, I think, for that. We've got Single Realm Sketching, 2 and double blue. You create a token that's a copy of target artifact, creature, or land. This is okay. Just make a copy of basically the best thing out on the board. The fact in copy pretty much any permanent, I think, is really nice. Yeah, I think it's perfectly okay at 4 mana. We've got 2 Dreams of Laguna, 1 in a blue. You surveil 1, then you draw a card, and it's got flashback for 3 in a blue, so if you do mill it away, or you can get 2 casts out of it. Yeah, I think it's, again, just perfectly fine. And then 2 Retrieve the Espers, 3 in a blue. You create a 3/3 blue Robot Warrior artifact creature token, and if this spell was cast from a graveyard, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. As well as, not instead. So yeah, so 4 mana to make a 3/3 token is okay, and then flashback for 6 to get a 5/5. I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good little card. And then yeah, then that's it. Then we got 12 swamps, 9 islands, and then 4 Traino the Dark City, which is just the common town. Enters play tapped, gives you blue or black. So yeah, there we go. So let's quickly maybe go through the before I give my final thoughts on the decks. Let's maybe just go through my predictions and see which ones I got right. So both decks will have a search spell for the face legendary. I said this because in the Assassin's Creed deck, there was something like that. You had the Auditory Ambush and the Raven Clan War Axe, which tutored up for Ezio or Ivor, but obviously that didn't happen. So that's we got that one wrong. I said Cloud's deck will have all the Final Fantasy VII party members across red and or white. Obviously they didn't, because we were missing like Aerith, we were missing Tifa, missing Cid, all that. So yeah, so that one's marked as a cross, unfortunately. Sephiroth's deck will have the various Nova forms, Hojo, the Turks, other bosses like Demon Wall. Obviously that was wrong. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge will be represented as a non-legendary red-white creature, avalanche resistant fighters. This is sort of, it is wrong, but it is technically, I'm going to make an argument for it, because they are featured in one of the commander decks. So, but obviously in this case it's wrong. Sephiroth's deck will have a removal spell like Murder or Hero's Downfall that depicts that moment. That is the only one we got right, because Cloud's deck did not have any combat tricks depicting various limit breaks. So, What do I think of the deck? I think it's actually pretty solid. I think both decks are really good. I think it's too early to look at it and see which one would like do better. I think they're both pretty well put together. There's no cards I can look at this and be like, why is this here? Maybe the Sahagin in Sephiroth's deck is the one card that I'm looking at and thinking like this maybe doesn't belong. I would maybe like it if the red white one had maybe like 2 extra bits of equipment, because you got so many creatures in there that care about equipment. So I think just having, maybe instead of having like that, the crystals chosen, maybe like another like uncommon equipment, like one of the job select ones, maybe. Um yeah, because I found that with the Assassin's Creed one as well, that was all about equipment. You know, so many cards cared about equipment, and there was only like 6 equipment cards in the deck, and it's just like, oh, you know, you kind of need more if you're gonna have all these things that care about it. But it's such a, I find it's such a difficult balance to strike about cards that care about equipment and the actual equipment itself. Sephiroth's deck I think is okay. It does maybe feel like it's pulling in a few different directions, because obviously you've got you know, face card Sephiroth who cares about things dying, but then you've got a lot of other cards that care about like, you know, surveil and milling your own stuff, and I don't know. There's definitely room, I think, both of these to be focused out in a few different ways if you want to go that way. Clouds is the easiest one because you just like put in more equipment and other cards that care about artifacts or equipments. Sephiroth, I think you could have a bit more fun with, and you know how you tweak that and how you make changes to it. Overall, though, I think they're both pretty good. I think the complexity level is just right. This was my big criticism of the Bloomburrow deck, that it contained a lot of cards which I thought would have been quite intimidating for like a new player. But I think the complexity level of this one is like just right. I don't think any of the cards are too ridiculously complicated. Like the maybe Lightning is like, I'd say maybe the most complicated one, like just because she deals with, like the exiling stuff and you know, that red impulse draw, and that can be maybe like a little hard for a new player maybe to get their head around. But I think everything else is pretty straightforward in terms of like mechanics and stuff, and all the unique rares I think are pretty straightforward, while still being like fairly powerful. So yeah, I think this is really good. I think it's a really good set. Yeah, I would definitely sort of recommend this. I think for a new player to play in, because I think it gives you enough of the feel. You know, it's got enough like combat tricks in there, and you know, obviously creatures, and yeah, and you know, creatures with different abilities. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. And I thought the Assassin's Creed one was pretty good. This might eclipse the Assassin's Creed one, I think, as being my favorite of these recent starter kits. So, I did also want to put out this idea. So, like I said at the start, like, you know, obviously both decks contain cards that are not in Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to do, I think, a little project where I'm going to rebuild these decks to be fully Final Fantasy VII themed. So, because there's so many like cards in the main set that I think could have been in here. So, like, you know, like Aerith and Zack, and you got a whole bunch of like other good blue and black cards that could fit in, that would be really like on theme for being here. Like you got, you know, like the Masamune. The Masamune is tailor made for Sephiroth because it like doubles his triggered abilities for things dying, which is obviously super good. Yeah, so I think I might do that maybe as a little extra video, like do how I take these decks and rebuild them to be Final Fantasy X themed, because I say so much good stuff in set and in the commander set as well. I'll probably bring in some cards from there, which I think would be like really good and thematic to include. Like, yeah, you got to have a Buster Sword, right? And yeah, there wasn't one here, and there's just other just really good like reprints or just brand new cards that could definitely find a way into these decks. So yes, if you're interested in that, wait a couple of weeks and I'll probably have a video out for that. But overall, I'd love to know what you think about this kit. Like I said, I think it's really, really good. And I say that as someone who is not massively into Final Fantasy, but I can appreciate just a well put together starter kit of Magic. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think. Do stick a comment down below if you've got any thoughts on this, on either of the decks or the set as a general. Like, you know, are you a Final Fantasy fan and you were thinking of getting this? Like, do you really like, you know, do you like how these characters have been represented in the cards? Do you like have no idea about Final Fantasy, you know, but you're still interested anyway? Like, do these cards make you want to play Final Fantasy? Because it sort of did with me. That made me sort of want to play Final Fantasy 6, just because 6 is so represented in the set. You know, is it a set that you'd probably get for like yourself or a friend or like someone who's trying to get into Magic? Like, any comment you think, just stick it down below, because I do really like reading people's comments and yeah, responding to them. I will also stick a link to the Discord in there as well if you want to like come onto the Discord. There's only like a few of us, but we do like talking about cards. But yeah, overall, I hope you liked this video, this breakdown of the starter kits. I'll probably be getting one. But yeah, and I hope you come back in a couple of weeks where I do a video where I rebuild the decks to make them more Final Fantasy VII themed. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.